This free video is brought to you by the Team Topologies Academy. Our goal is to help organizations become more effective and more humane. If you find this video helpful, we would love for you to check out and recommend our Academy content.
If the platform adoption by teams is voluntary, is it possible that no one uses it? In theory, yes, but is it likely? No, if we're applying the ideas of platform as a product as we've seen so far in this course. Starting with the true customer in mind, building the simplest solution that meets user needs that have been communicated to us, and receiving feedback on short iteration cycles. We will see at least adoption by customers we've focused on initially. But what about the rest of the teams? It can be scary to think that we've spent considerable effort to build a great new service or functionality only to see it ignored by most teams. The key is to understand that any product or technology that is optional to use undergoes a known adoption lifecycle. This adoption lifecycle tells us that there are different adopter groups in our customer base depending on their experience, needs, and even appetite for change. This categorization was initially proposed by agricultural researchers studying the diffusion of farming practices back in 1957. They have since been adopted and validated in the technology industry. Innovators are keen to jump on the new approaches and technology. They want to be the first to try them and are willing to accept a high number of issues with initial versions of the technology. Early adopters are also quite open to new approaches when they see the potential benefit for their work. They are typically willing to accept a fair amount of glitches in the product as well. Majorities tend to be more conservative in their adoption profile. People and teams in the early majority will likely want to see clear examples of successful adoption by other teams before onboarding a new service or workflow. Their acceptance threshold for problems in the new service tends to be much lower than early adopters. The late majority is very conservative, and almost literally they are late to the party. The benefits of the new technology or service are well known across the customer base, and there is some peer pressure to adopt. People and teams in the late majority might feel like they have no option but to engage with the service so they're not lagging behind others. They expect the service to be mature, with high levels of reliability and responsiveness and very few issues. This group often waits for release 1.0 or later of the product before considering adoption. The exact percentages for each adopter group might vary, especially in smaller organizations. The important thing to realize is these different groups tend to exist in roughly similar proportions. It doesn't mean the platform team might not experience much faster adoption rates for certain services, but overall, these are the expected patterns of adoption. They help platform teams set more informed expectations in terms of when a service will see a growth in adoption. They can plan improvements on the scalability, reliability, or onboarding of the service to address concerns from early and late majorities. In fact, in his book, Crossing the Chasm, Geoffrey Moore warns us that the adoption curve is not a continuum. There is a gap or chasm between early adopters and the early majority. So the platform team is probably well advised to invest considerable effort collaborating with a few different teams during the early adopter stage to validate service abstractions and use cases, iron out most of the issues found, and improve the user experience for the new service. This will put them in a better position to cross the chasm when making the service genuinely available to all the teams.